Hey everyone, in today's video I want to explore how you can show up to be an ally at work. So this is a huge topic. This video is not going to do it complete justice, but I want to start talking about the idea because that's something that people are really wanting to deep dive into. So the first thing you need to understand about being an ally at work is that work is a very specific type of context with a very specific type of outcome. So when you're out in the world, in your family, with your friends, there's this sort of generic human, we want to be better people thing going on, which is why we're able to hold each other accountable and be a little bit more open about how we expect society to run. But inside of business, inside at work, that isn't necessarily the case. Now, if you're in an organization that values personal growth, that values equality, that values, having hard conversations and being vulnerable with each other, it's amazing. So glad for you. But most people who are in a work environment sometimes ignore the fact that the point of work is to make money for the owners of the company. This is one of the downsides of capitalism, I guess, if you want to say it that way. And so you always have to keep that in mind. I see a lot of people when they go into allyship work, or even people that work in diversity and inclusion, conveniently forgetting that fact and then not having the conversations that will ultimately get them where they need to go. So, and this is not fair. This is not fair. This is not fun, but work operates at a developmental level that doesn't allow us to bring some of our best selves online for being an ally. Because it's the right thing to do doesn't work at work. So when you're having these discussions, you have to center the work as the reason for why you want to develop your allyship practice, or why allyship needs to be a topic of conversation, which means you're gonna really have to own your own performance. You're gonna have to own your team's performance. You're gonna have to really learn how to speak the language of making a business case for why things need to be better. And here's the thing, there's a lot of resources that actually support that. It's not a pie in the sky thing. It's not impossible. There's tons of data that shows that a more diverse workplace, a more inclusive workplace, a place where people can be open and be themselves, people get better results. So just trust that, get your statistics together, but be willing to own your own experience and really recognize, here is how my experience of being at work is going to be better for us to do that. And number two is do the work. What I'll see people do is raise a complaint, which is awesome. I'm so glad that you feel able to go to your boss and say, hey, this is the issue that I'm having, go fix it, because in a lot of ways that it is their responsibility. But if you don't solve your own problem, it's really easy for people to say no. You have to actually find a way to start pitching your own solutions so that they can say yes. And you'll have to start learning multidimensional thinking, because they're going to look for any excuse possible to say no, which means you have to include as many perspectives as possible. One of the ways that you can do it is by taking informal polls, reaching out to people, having conversations. Now, a lot of what I'm saying sounds like a lot of work, and here's the thing, it is. This is why getting allyship into work can be so difficult. And so this is why, empowering leaders to do that work is so important. So if you have a company that claims to value diversity and inclusion, make sure that you hold those folk accountable. Now, when you do this, you have to also keep in mind that you're putting yourself at risk. I don't want to sugarcoat this, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but the squeaky wheel also gets fired sometimes. And so if you're going to show up as an ally to work, you need to make sure that you have an escape hatch. Be it making sure that you're kept up on the legal proceedings at your work and are willing to take legal action if they do something illegal as a response for you being an ally at work. Making sure your resume is up to date, and have just very strong confidence that you can get another job if, in showing up the way that you want to, people don't react really well. And people don't like it when I say that, but if the work isn't worth losing your job over, don't do it. be an ally outside of work. If the lack of allyship, the lack of diversity inclusion in your work is harming your career and your ability to show up and thrive, and you're not willing to lose your job for it, that's actually a different issue altogether. It means that you're not good at making sure that you show up to environments that are conducive towards your health. And that's something that not everyone's great at. But I want to keep them separate so that people can recognize what the actual issues are. Like, there are risks in doing this work, and you got to do it, and you can do it and have fun. But if you don't account for the very obvious risks, then you're not really set up to have a sustainable long-term allyship practice. So again, I'm the fun guy, so we're going to keep talking about fun things, but I really wanted to bring up the realities of bringing allyship into work, because it's an uphill battle, and it can be fun if you're willing to play a long game and a consistent game. But it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of skill, so make sure that you've got that under lock before you commit to a campaign that you're not willing to finish.